This time we'll convene the Commissioners meeting. Ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. At this time, we'll have public comment on any items on the agenda. Hearing none, move on to number 2, Employee Service Awards.
And this is for Paula Young, 10-year service pin, and Kelly Robinson is going to speak.
Morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Commissioners. I think I had to prepare more for this than I did yesterday.
Oh, I don't know about that.
All right. Paula Young began with the county in November of 2019 as a member of the RMS team. Then in 2016, she joined the staff at the Department of Public Safety as our clerk, working with all the DPS staffs and divisions. In July of 2018, she was promoted to the EMA Administrative Assistant, and then this past December moved into the position of Emergency Management Specialist Training. During her time at DPS, she has already participated in numerous EOC exercises, events, and trainings, including playing a pivotal role in the federally declared disaster due to rainstorms in July-August of 2018, the Little League World Series, and played an important role during my own certification exercise yesterday. She has coordinated the annual EMA Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, processes our Emergency Management Performance Grant, and is the author of our EMA newsletter every quarter. In her new role, she has jumped right into the world of training and coordinating with local fire departments and training organizations to advertise and collect registrations for classes throughout the county. As a staff member of our emergency management agency, we require all of our staff to achieve their Pennsylvania Emergency Management or Agency or PEMA certifications, basic through professional. Each level of certification includes online and classroom courses, many of which are at least 4 hours in length and up to 24 hours, or 3 days for those who are a little slow at math this morning. Classes include National Incident Management or NIMS trainings, the FEMA Leadership Development Series, Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program, Public Information Officer Training, Mass Fatalities Incident Response, and Mitigation for Emergency Managers. In total, someone who has completed the professional certification has completed over 270 hours of classroom time in emergency management training. Not to mention travel time, as many of these courses now require going to Harrisburg, Lancaster, Pittsburgh to complete them due to federal budget cuts over the recent years. Plus, in order to receive all these certifications, you have to attend the PEMA in-service trainings, as well as all of the Lycoming County EMA quarterly trainings. So in April of 2017, Paula completed her basic certification, followed quickly by her advanced in August of 2018. Now today I have the pleasure of presenting Paula with her professional certification. Over 270 hours of training in less than 4 years is quite an accomplishment. Congratulations, Paula.
Would you like to say anything?
No, she doesn't.
I like to know, when do you have time to eat? Because that's quite an accomplishment. Over the hours is amazing.
I just grew up, my dad has been a firefighter for 40 years, over 40 years, so growing up with a history of it in the background, it's just always been the blood to want to help be in emergency services. So.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
And I'm just going to add, if the public's probably not aware of what the counties do in preparation of events. And I want to congratulate you too, Kelly, because yesterday was probably the largest event that I've ever seen. And they simulate disasters or whatever it could be. And yesterday's was a flood, and then they may have thrown something else in there, and then medical, and maybe even an earthquake. These are real trainings. So your certification makes you one of the experts now in preparing our county for safety. So just imagine that you have a flood and you have people trapped. Or you have a tornado and there's branches down and roads can be closed. And in the emergency service field, right, they're out the door 10, 20 times in a 5-minute, span. So they coordinate what could possibly happen. And you passed with flying colors, and it was a difficult, simulation. So I want to congratulate you not only on what you achieved today, but what you did yesterday as well. And to everyone involved. How many people were just
I
there?
believe we had at
VOC?
least 50 to 60 people.
50 to
there.
60.
8 different agencies, it was amazing.
Oh, I'm off the top of my head, maybe 20.
You even had Red Cross there and
Yep.
the planning department. It was just all the
We
parts.
bring people back out of retirement
Yeah.
too to
Yeah.
come and help
Yeah.
out.
It was.
And the exercise is real. They call FEMA, Red Cross, Salvation Army, the hospitals. Imagine having 200 people shot. What do you do? We're prepared. Hopefully not for that, but we're prepared for the disaster.
I can't take all the credit, I have to give credit to the staff.
That's what I was
People
gonna
that
say,
come in and work.
Paula,
Everybody,
this,
very
this,
knowledgeable.
your willingness to get your training in such a quick amount of time enabled you to be an incredible asset yesterday and obviously every day. So we appreciate the fact that you take your job seriously enough to not only just do it whenever you want to do it, but to get it done quick enough that now you're able to give back even more. And we want to thank you, Paula, for doing that, because you doing that allowed her to do what she did yesterday, which allows everyone in this community to be safer. So thank you, Paula, very much.
She started at the age of 12. That's amazing.
And the thing about our EMS and our professionals is it's not just a job. They live and breathe this. It's who they are. And the dedication is just amazing. And for that, we thank you.
Can we get the father and the husband up?
Yep, I'll step out. I'll go out this way, I'll let them next to her. Herb.
Okay, we're going to jump ahead to item 6.0. Reports, information items.
6.1 would be the Jersey Shore FBLA Club. We're going to receive the FBLA proclamation.
Proclamation. Whereas Future Business Leaders of America, Phi Beta Lambda, is a nonprofit educational organization whose first chapter was established in Johnson City, Tennessee in 1942. And whereas this organization has grown now to encompass over 250,000 members and advisors nationwide in middle schools, high schools, colleges, universities, career and technical schools, and private business schools. And whereas FBLA PBL is a professional business organization dedicated to bringing business and education together in a positive working relationship through innovative leadership and career development programs. And whereas members perform community service activities and strive to build a student's understanding of the realities of the modern business world. And whereas FBLA inspires and prepares students to become community-minded business leaders in a global society through relevant career preparation and leadership experiences. PBL helps university, college, technical, and business school students to make the transition from school to work. Now, therefore, the County of Lycoming Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the first week of February 2020 as National FBLA PBL Week. In witness whereof, we've set our hand and sealed the 30th day of January 2020. County of Lycoming, Scott L. Metzger, Chairman, Tony R. Macer, Vice Chairman, Richard Marabito, Secretary. Do we have someone from the organization? Is there? Yes. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Max Ferguson, and I'm here representing the Pennsylvania Future Business Leaders of America and the FBLA members of Lycoming County as the PAFBLA State President. I would first like to thank the Lycoming County Commissioners for allowing Jersey Shore FBLA to attend this meeting and allowing me to show the importance of celebrating organizations such as FBLA and all the CTE programs in our schools in Lycoming County. Just in case anyone is unfamiliar, Future Business Leaders of America, or FBLA, is a career and technical student organization, or CTSO, that is offered all across America, and as Mr. Mirabito said, it has over 250,000 members nationwide. So it's a competitive-based organization where students can compete in topical events such as political science, economics, or public speaking, and many more events at a regional, state, and a national level. FBLA also has a middle level chapter and a collegiate level, which is Phi Beta Lambda, or PBL. Pennsylvania is currently the third largest state in terms of FBLA membership, serving around 12,700 members. And Lycoming County is lucky enough to be a part of the largest of the 28 regions in Pennsylvania, which is Region 7, and currently makes up just short of 800 members of PAFBLA. So Jersey Shore FBLA is here today as FBLA PBL Week, which is February 2nd through the 8th this year, is being declared as a countywide event. FBLA Week is a celebration of our members and advisors and the organization as a whole. This week is very important to the organization as it recognizes members and celebrates their hard work and accomplishments. I'm very proud of the accomplishments of our FBLA students in Lycoming County, and it's wonderful to see how our county can be so involved in supporting FBLA and the remarkable opportunities it provides students across the nation, as well as right here in Lycoming County. I'm very pleased to say that every public high school in Lycoming County has an active Future Business Leaders of America chapter. So by celebrating FBLA Week, we are celebrating and congratulating 439 FBLA members in Lycoming County for their hard work and dedication. So thank you for allowing me to speak here today, and from all the FBLA members in Jersey Shore and Lycoming County, thank you for your support.
You know, it's amazing how often, when you're over 60, you know, we hear some things that the old people say, right? Oh my God, this generation, what the hell are we gonna do? What's America coming to? But when you sit on this side as an elected official and you travel to communities like we do, we see some of the most fabulous students and kids there can be. We work with the Youth Development Task Force. I believe Jersey Shore is part of that. I know they are. And how they get engaged in helping other students deal with problems. In your case, I just have one request from you. You're bright, you're intelligent, you have a good future, you're gonna lead America. But while you're still young, influence others. You have to be the voice so that people have a different direction to change when they're going off the beaten path. So we're all very proud of you and the accomplishments that you've made and some of the future things that you're going to achieve. So I thank you.
You know, it'd be great if you could have the other students introduce themselves and also your advisors And also a word out there just to say thanks to the advisors and to the parents who support you guys, because it makes a big difference when you have a parent who you come home to at night who bugs you about, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? And while it might seem like they're bugging you now, we run into so many folks in other parts of the system who never had a parent who did that. People who have been abandoned when they were young. I'm thinking of a sister, brother I know right now. The brother's sitting in the jail. The sister's been struggling with all sorts of issues. So appreciate and say thanks when you get home to them. When they ask you to take out the garbage, thanks. I really appreciate doing that. When they ask you to help with the dishwasher. But I mean it in all seriousness, because as you get older, if you decide to have kids, or if you don't decide to have kids, you're going to really appreciate what they gave to you. And their giving to you is what enables you to give back to our community, as Commissioner Masser said. And I know your sister was a former member, and she's down at, I think she's at Princeton, right?
Yes.
She's in her 3rd year at Princeton, and all of you will go on and do great things, as Commissioner Masser said. But along the way, help those who are going to need your help, and thank the parents or the caregivers, who they be. Who are they? The advisors?
So this is Mrs. Dolly Oden. She is one of our high school chapter advisors. And this is Mr. Rob Griswold, our other high school.
Maybe the kids can.
If you want to stand up and say,
Yeah, I'm Blaine Mann, and I'm a senior at Jersey Shore High School.
I'm Robert Parker, and I'm a junior at Jersey Shore High School.
I'm Kel Blakely, and I'm a junior at Jersey Shore High School.
I'm Sam Mockmer, and I'm a junior.
I'm Arizona Shrek, and I'm a senior.
I'm Stephanie Steinbach, and I'm a senior as well. I'm Alexa Greavy, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Lexi Kowick, and I'm also a sophomore.
I'm Madison Satterfield, and I'm a sophomore. And I'm Lee Ditcher, I'm also a sophomore.
Thank you.
That's it?
thank you.
Thank you.
We have, go ahead.
We would just like to thank Jason Yorks has been a parent that's worked with several of our students, and he has continued to work with us even after his students have, or his own children have graduated. But we would just like to thank Jason Yorks for helping and assisting, making this possible. And thank you to all of you for having us here each day.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Get all the kids up, we'll do a photo here. And the advisors, we'll get the photo if you.
Okay.
We'll get that advisors. That's right.
Jason's gonna join.
Come on, Jason.
Yeah.
Can you get together a little bit? Pretend to like each other.
Have to do a quarter turn. Quarter turn. Yeah. Very good.
Good advice.
Yeah. And you probably have other commitments, so if you want to leave, you may.
Or you can
Or
stay
you
and
can
see how
stay
government runs.
For the next
That's what
project.
we'd like
Right.
to do.
Yeah.
That's what we'd like to stay and see.
Good, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a great educational experience.
Well, we hope that they learn from this and maybe become community servants as well, so.
Absolutely.
We're moving on to 6.2, National Coroner and Medico-Legal Death Investigator Week. Going to do the proclamation.
Before we do that, I just want to say a few things about our coroner's office. They're the voice of those who can no longer speak. You're the ones that have to try to find the answers for families when they desperately seek those answers. And they wear a badge of honor. And I came across it's not exactly a poem, it was a coroner who wrote to other fellow coroners about what they go through in a day's process. So I like to read that. To the coroner waking up shaking, having nightmares about the last scene they seen, I see you. To the death investigator knocking on a door at 3 o'clock in the morning to give the family the worst news of their lives, I see you. To the coroner pulling away from a scene just to pull over around the block out of view so you can cry a little bit longer, I see you. To the coroner looking for evidence in a filthy drug house while trying not to be stuck by a dirty needle, I see you. To the death investigator called to an ER scene, interviewing a family that prayed their loved one would survive and didn't, I see you. To the coroner attempting to maintain composure as he stands there questioning the parents about the sudden death of an infant and having to ask them to place a doll in the position which they last saw their child alive, I see you. To the coroner searching for a young person's Facebook profile in an attempt to find a tiny glimpse of the lives that they're about to destroy with the notification, I see you. To the coroner being told time and time again how awesome their job must be, knowing that the person asking them has no idea what they go through in a daily's activities, I see you. To the coroner putting their heart and soul into their job to find the truth, provide dignity and help to families navigating the worst days of their lives, I see you. And to the coroner dealing with the most tragic events of a day that is life-changing for those that they notify, I see you. To that coroner, almost always forgotten and rarely thanked, we see you, we stand together with you, you are the last responders, and we thank you for your service.
I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas the first American coroner was Thomas Baldridge of St. Mary's, Maryland Colony, appointed on January 29, 1637. And whereas the National Coroner Recognition Week and the thin line color, purple, is a project focused on bringing awareness to the job of a coroner and the need for better funding and training in the further development of that field. And whereas dealing with the worst death it has to offer several times a month can take a toll on anyone and those working in the coroner and the NDI fields of investigation knows firsthand how mentally draining it can be. And whereas often forgotten about or dismissed, the role and function of a coroner or medical legal death investigation is vital in our criminal justice system, as well as an identifying trend that causes death and possible disease outbreaks. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and all the hard work they do in our community during coroner and medical legal death investigator week. Now therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Lycoming County hereby proclaim the week of January 27th through February 2nd, 2020, with Appreciation Day of January 29th as National Coroner and Medical Legal Death Investigation Week. In witness thereof, we set our hand and seal the 30th day of January 2020. Scott Metzger, Chairman, Tony Messere, Vice Chairman, and Rick Maravito, Secretary.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Public. Thank you, Commissioner Metzger. That says it all.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just, you all know what we've been doing. You know, it's hard to believe it's 20 years I've been in this position, and have had the horrific experience to meet many families, the worst part of the time of their lives, deal with them. It's just been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve the community. I've also had I'm now serving my 4th year as president of the State Coroners Association, so I have developed ties not only locally but state and nationally through the course of the last 20 years. So it's truly an honor to be able to do what we do. I won't belabor it, but that says it all. That you know, that's what we do every day. And then I thank God for my staff. Kate, Carol, Howard, the rest of the folks. I mean, they're there to, you know, we lean on each other to be able to get through some of these days, because we've had a few lately here. There are young people dying. This drug epidemic is like being strapped to a runaway freight train anymore. And I don't know what we're going to do. We just keep doing what we have to do, try to answer the questions that the families have, deal with their losses. It's just horrific. But we'll keep plugging along and doing what we can. We've had, we're doing a lot of stuff with prevention activities, as you know. I chair the Safe Kids group. I've been chairing the Child Death Review team since 2001. We've identified different things such as unsafe sleep practices for infants. We're distributing cribs in our communities to keep infants in a safe sleep environment, and we've seen a significant reduce in the number of deaths related to that, so we hope to keep that program up and running. That's all been grant and donations funded since 2008 when I started that program in my office. So we're going to keep plugging along, trying to find more grants, trying to find funding streams to keep those things going. Safe Kids is putting bike helmets. We're getting safety seats out there. We're making sure that the safety seats are installed properly in vehicles. Doing all these things from a prevention side, because that, I think, is, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's my motto. I mean, we try to do that to try and reduce the number of deaths and serious injuries in our county, because obviously, I've spent most of my life as fire, EMS, law enforcement folks, trying to save lives as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
It's amazing the interconnectedness of what has gone on this morning. I mean, you all may not see a relationship, the FBLA students, but when he talks about the overdose, engaging in FBLA is a way to keep kids away from the things that end up taking their lives and that he sees. That's what Commissioner Massera was saying when he was saying, when you see kids in trouble, try to find a way to reach out. And then what the coroner does in emergency services, and we saw this morning, all of the folks here who in the training that they do in EMS to prevent situations from getting to the point where the coroner is needed. So there's an interrelationship in all of this that's important. And for the public, you're going to see us in the future spending some money probably trying to find a new home for the coroner, because the office doesn't have the tools that it needs. And so when you see that money being spent, whether it's bond money or whether it's tax money, understand that we're doing it because the people who do the work of the coroner need to have conditions that are safe, and they need to have conditions where they can do their job. And we've been working actively trying to find a place, and it's not so easy because we need a lot of different things. But just saying that it's important to understand why we're committing the resources to that. And Chuck, we appreciate your patience, Mr. Kiesling, with how long it's taken to find a place. But we will find a home for you that makes sense.
All right. Thank
We're
you.
getting there. And could you have your, go ahead.
Yeah.
Commissioners, as a first responder and EMT, I thought it's important to thank Chuck and his staff, because while it's 1 o'clock in the morning, it's a vehicle accident or whatever, and as the sheriff sits over there quietly, which we all know is a little uncommon, but the sheriff too has been on a call or two with us. When you're an EMS or a volunteer firefighter and you're along Route 220 or wherever we're at, and we have 2-3 patients, and one of them is unfortunately a fatality. There is a lot of confidence when you call county, when you call dispatch, say, send County 27. That's all we say. Get us County 27, and it's over for us. We simply stick around, help out. Unfortunately, we help load the bodies and do as they take their pictures. But I just, as a first responder, I want to say thank you to the coroner's office, because that's one of them things in your mind you don't have to worry about. When they come on scene, they take over and they help you out. And thank you very much, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Could you have your staff recognize them?
Yep. Pete Nichols and Gerald Ross. Howard Woodruff could not be here, and we have some part-time staff, as you know, that they fill in, try to help us out on weekends. We get busy. So.
What about alumni?
And and we can't forget
We'd
the
like to
sheriff.
tell him the story about
He
He couldn't handle it.
3 years and he was out.
Seriously though, thank you to our families, because people don't see that side of it. I grew up with the coroner in my house. My mom never knows when he's going to be home for dinner to this day. Never. He missed a lot of my basketball games, a lot of my brother's activities. I never really understood it growing up. You kind of say, oh, Dad's not here again, or he'd sit at a restaurant with us and be taking death notes on a napkin as we try to have a family dinner together. I respect it now that I'm here, and I have been here for almost 8 years. We sacrifice. I mean, all of law enforcement sacrifices, and people don't understand the support that we need from families to continue to do these jobs, because it's an emotional roller coaster. I remember when I can't think how old I was, when the Hughesville kids, there's so many Hughesville kids that died in vehicle crashes.
Yes.
I was just a little kid, and I couldn't understand when my dad came home so frustrated and upset and just short with us that day. And he broke down because he had seen these kids die. It's a job that's incredibly important, but incredibly overlooked. So I just hope that our county taxpayers understand, why we're looking for a building, why it's so important, because this is something we offer to families who lose their loved ones. The facility we have right now, when we bring people out there, they're like, what a nightmare, we're coming to this basement of the hospital. I call it the death hall to bring them through. It's just a very important job. I hope that through this recognition, I appreciate you guys doing this, because we are often overlooked. Yesterday, a certain county employee, I won't name her, but mine knows who she is, brought us sticky buns. I cried over sticky buns just because she knew we needed them. We needed a little recognition. So.
And you had a rough day yesterday. You had.
Yeah, so this couldn't have come at a better time.
I have Gerald Ross. I've been chief deputy coroner since Mark moved on. There were a couple intermittent that didn't.
I'm coming back when I retire.
That were much smarter than me. Good. Today would be awesome, Mark. I just want to recognize to you guys, I don't think the boss has put us in a very unique opportunity. We have relationships professionally with all the police agencies that we work with that other coroners don't have, and it's because of his dedication and stability in this position that we've been allowed a much easier access into PSP, into the upper echelon of that organization, which is very helpful to us. But she says he wasn't available to her, but Katie is so intelligent that she obviously picked up her father's dedication. And I hate to say this, but to me, she's the most important person in our office. She seeks the funding for the Cribs for Kids programs, the bicycle helmets. She's the only one I know that works so hard to find more work for her to do. She is out, and she is so graciously stepped forward and just completed her state certification for coroner investigation. So now she's not just the office girl. She also is involved in 800 to 900 cremation authorizations annually, which is integral to, it's mandated that a coroner do those and investigate those prior to allowing those. So Kate has picked that up solely. Well, we all help out, but she handles that whole program. She does, like I said, her funding for Safe Kids and bicycle helmets, and she participates in other youth activities and child safety stuff, and now she's touching dead bodies with us probably a little more regularly than she anticipated, but I really appreciate Katie's effort in our office.
Appreciate yours as well.
For the students, Mr. Kiesling is elected. Chuck Kiesling is elected by the constituents in this county to be the coroner. And he runs for office every 4 years, and he's been elected 5 times. He's in his 20th year, and it's a 4-year term. These are employees who work for the county under his direction. But the reason I'm also point that out to you is that sometimes you'll learn that maybe in the public sector you don't make as much money as you make in the private sector, but you will have a fulfillment that you may or may not get in the private sector. I mean, not everyone who works in the public sector has great fulfillment, but I think if you talk to the majority of the people who do it, they will tell you that I do this job for the very reasons that they're telling you, the heartfelt feeling of what they get from the job. So I think it's important for you to think about that, because we need young people to stay in the community, to come back from college or come back from career and technical, go out, spread your wings, but come back here and take the leadership roles that people like they have taken.
And Chuck, you took over a damaged office, and you brought integrity back to that office, and you have had that integrity in that department for 20 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, part of my business was suicide cleanup, death, whether it was overdose or not. And I probably did 50 jobs, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I just couldn't. And the bodies weren't even there when I was there. Okay? So I understand how difficult your position is. I see him holidays. I mean, weekends, nights, early mornings. There is no schedule, okay? It is so difficult and very demanding. But I like to comment on 2 other things, is that these are public servants. They do it for the people of Lycoming County. They don't do it for the money, okay? This is a really difficult job. And every job that county employees do for its citizens, difficult jobs. From the sheriff's departments to the IT to try to protect what's going on in cybersecurity and keeping up technology so it doesn't shut down. And we hear so often from our employees that one of the reasons why they're here is because of that gratification Commissioner Marabita was mentioning, that their heart and soul is into public service, and it is rewarding. So I wouldn't discount that. I do want to get back to one thing, is drugs, suicide, especially in our youth. A couple years ago was really bad, okay? I don't want our youth, and this is when I try to tell you to influence people. I think there are pressures that are put on not just the youth, you know, middle age and older people as well. And sometimes you need to talk. This is not about mental illness. This is about needing a hand. This is about just being able to say, can you help me? I do not remember the gentleman's name that came into Williamsport. and he was one of the few survivors. He tried to commit suicide by jumping off, going. And he says, as I was walking to the bridge, if I would have had one person just stop me and say, boy, what's going on? Can I help you? Why are you here? Can I lend you a hand? Do you need a ride? He said not one person, but he passed hundreds. He got to that rail, and when he jumped, he said, oh my gosh, what did I do? Okay, and that's the moment that you realize it's not mental illness. It's just it's that stigma that you may think, or your peers may think they have it. It's not. It's just you need some help. And so please, never go down that path. There's always someone, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, a friend, or a stranger. There's always help, okay? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll move back to 3.0, TDA actions, with Lauren Bauer.
Good morning, Commissioners. First item is to approve the creation of one part-time temporary Department of Public Safety Special Projects position, and this would be a pay grade 11.
Okay, could you explain maybe a little bit of the duties of that person so that students here can understand maybe what that individual is going to be doing?
This person's going to come in and basically oversee the new director of public safety. They will be able to guide them and train them for them to overtake the public safety department. This will be the former director that will come in and be able to basically be with them through a short period of time to initially train them and get them acclimated to what their duties are going to be.
Lauren, maybe you can tell them what you do also. Introduce yourself, tell them what you do.
Okay. I am the Deputy Director of Human Resources. My name's Lauren Bauer. So we handle all of the interviewing, the hiring, all of the workers' compensation, the health insurance benefits. We deal with employee conflict and resolution. We do anything that the employees need, we're there to help them.
Motion to accept the position.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That will be coming off the TDA once his role.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
4.0 with Lauren, personnel actions.
We're asking for approval for the following personnel actions. In Department of Public Safety, the communications section, the hiring of Garrett McKinney, full-time coordinator / GIS specialist. This would be a pay grade 8, $41,118.42, and this is effective February 10th of 2020. And second item, in the district attorney's office, this would be the hiring of a full-time replacement assistant county detective, pay grade AD, $23.09 hourly, and this would also be effective February 10th of 2020.
Any discussion on the personnel actions? Not gonna have a motion?
I'll move to approve the personnel actions read by the deputy.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Convene the salary board.
Convene the salary board and convene the commissioners meeting, go to the salary board actions.
Lauren?
The following actions, we would like to seek approval for an update to the salary schedule. First item is Department of Public Safety, the creation of the part-time temporary DPS Special Projects position, pay grade 11. And the second item is to appoint special county detectives to participate in the roving DUI patrols. And this would be for a 24-month period, beginning January 1st of 2020 through December 31st of 2021.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment for the students? So the salary board is a statutory, by state statute, state law, requirement that when we do certain things with the hiring of personnel, we convene what's called the salary board, which is the commissioners, the controller's office, and also the elected person could sit on it. For example, if it was having something to do with the coroner's office, the coroner could sit on the salary board for that action. The district attorney could sit on it. They're not required. So that's why it sounds a little repetitive. We did the DPS special projects, but we're doing it now with the salary board to comply with state law.
Any discussion regarding the salary board actions? Not gonna have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll adjourn the salary board meeting and reconvene the commissioners meeting.
We have an information item, 6.3, Maya Toon.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Maya.
This is just an invitation to bid that we're doing for food products for the Prison and Pre-Release Center.
Thank you.
7.0, action items. 7.1, Chelsea Blair, agreement with Wood Environment Infrastructure Solutions Incorporated.
Morning, Chelsea.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is an agreement for $273,531. This is for the work for construction and inspection oversight for the relief wells as part of the levee system.
Okay, any discussion on this item?
Just by way of education for you all, the levee is a huge, important project for this county because 80% of all the economic activity that happens in the county happens behind the levee. It's a 20-mile levee. And we know also in Jersey Shore, while the levee doesn't protect Jersey Shore has its own set of flooding issues, which we are working on. And so we have to also understand that community means that sometimes we work on something that helps one part of our community, another time we work on something that helps a different part. But we actually are working on a big project for Jersey Shore. Ms. Blair, who came to us from the city, is developing an expertise in how to understand, under the direction of the planning director who's sitting behind you, how to deal with the levee. She's been to Washington, D.C. Right? You went to Washington with us. Again, that's how you grow in a job. You come into the job doing one thing and you take the initiative. Remember when I said, don't wait for your parents to say, take the garbage out. Take it out on your own. You develop that initiative with the trash, it transfers over to what Chelsea's doing. I'm dead serious about that. You learn it at 17, 16, by the time you're her age, and she's been taking the initiative.
While you're ahead.
Actually, if you don't mind me jumping in on that as well, just to kind of give a little bit more of my background, I actually started in the public sector when I was 15. I was part of the Governor's Youth Council for Hunting, Fishing, and Conservation, actually appointed by the governor at that time. And so I helped to develop and guide fishing and hunting education opportunities for the youth. I also helped to provide input on regulations at the state level, and actually helped advocate down in DC for conservation efforts being done at the federal level as well. Part of that learning opportunity that I did as a youth really just helped promote me to be involved in the public sector when growing up. So definitely take what you're learning right now and move it forward. And I know with the pretty much the guidance that you guys get, you'll be doing some really great things. So.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you. Yes.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Please say aye. Aye. So carried, thank you.
All right, thank you.
7.2, Jerry Kennedy, purchase request with Central Square Technologies for 2020 annual software maintenance agreement, renewal for eFinance Plus.
Morning, Jerry.
Morning, Commissioners. For our visitors, my name is Jerry Kennedy. I'm the Deputy Director of Information Services. And I will be bringing my children to the meetings next week to get them to take out the trash. What we have before you today is a renewal of our support contract for Central Square at $97,749.09. This is actually a reduction this year by about $4,700, $4,800.
Okay.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So passed, so moved.
Thanks, Jerry.
7.3, Jason Yorks, agreement with West Physics Consulting LLC to support existing radiation monitoring program for LCRMS.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Jason.
I'd introduce myself. I will introduce myself again, but most of these folks know me. I'm Jason Yorks. I'm the director at the Lycoming County Landfill Recycling Center and Transfer Station. I have one student here that I have coached in softball. Most of the rest of them know my children, so my kids were quite active in FBLA. My oldest daughter is now a teacher at Jersey Shore High School. So we're Bulldogs through and through, and I might add, if it wasn't for Mrs. Oden's efforts and her staff that helped guide the Jersey Shore students, they probably wouldn't be where they're at. Jersey Shore, when they go to competitions, pretty much light it up. I helped with the regional competition held at Penn College earlier this year as a chaperone and as part of the competitions, and it was head and shoulders above a lot of the other students. Jersey Shore comes prepared. They will be going to Hershey, April, I believe, and I think my daughter's even going to help attend as a chaperone. And when they show up at Hershey, they make their presence known, and they will have definitely folks going to national competition. So I'm pretty proud of the Bulldogs here, and won't take up any more of your time, Commissioners, with that. 7.3, the agreement with West Physics Consulting. Commissioners, this is a 5-year agreement with them, and they will provide us training, calibration, and anything that we would need on an as-needed basis for our radiation portals at our scales. Again, I forgot to leave this or explain this on Tuesday. One of the problems we have is if we do get a hit with a hot load, we call it a hot load in the industry, if there's a radiation detection, we have to try to isolate the actual known radiation that it is. There's several types, and most of the time it's somebody who's receiving cancer treatments or something like that. But there is an occasional, if somebody cleaned out, if they're a professor at a college and they cleaned out their office, you never know. You get all kinds of wild stories as to radiation hits. But we have to then hand scan the load, and then we can call up West Physics and say, hey, this is the isotope we think it is. What's your take on it? And they'll give us on how to handle it. So it's, again, every scale we have at Lycoming County facilities have to have the portals. It's a requirement for compliance. Transfer station, you'll see the yellow upright posts. In them, as you drive through them, you're being scanned for radiation. So, seeking your approval.
Any further discussion?
They play a pretty good football.
Yeah. Pretty proud of the softball team too, Commissioner.
A motion to accept?
I'll move
Okay.
to approve the agreement with West Physics Consulting LLC.
I'll second that motion.
All fair side?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.4, this is amendment number 3 to the agreement for Highway Equipment Supply Company. Highway Equipment is a facility just up in Maquahat, and they are our local Volvo heavy equipment rep. This is their 2020 labor rates. So there was a slight increase in labor rates. There was none in the transportation or the environmental goods, but there was a slight 2.5%, 3% increases at the rates. And again, this is only as an as-needed basis.
I'll second it.
All fair side?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 7.5, this is a request, purchase request for Susquehanna Motor Company for a 2013 Mack tractor in the amount of $11,636.91. This is for the estimated cost for repair of the front rear axle on our tractor one of the 4 tractors we use for our transfer station to carry the loads from 3rd Street over to the facility.
Any further discussion? Not have a motion to accept it?
I'll move to approve the purchase.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Board of Assessment revisions with Brooke Wright. 8.1, approve real estate refunds.
Morning, Brooke.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Brooke Wright. I'm Chief Assessor of the Assessment Office. Our office goes out and values properties and puts an assessment on it, which in turn determines how much your taxes will be. It's an office that not many people like, unfortunately. I'm here to request 3 approvals or refunds. The first refund is for David and Mary Moore. Their home was destroyed by fire on November 19, 2019. The refund amount is $22.23. The next 2 refunds are for the same owner. This is for MS Realty LLC, and we are refunding the penalty due to the attorney's office putting the wrong mailing address on the deed. The refund amount is $4.55 and $136.29. Do you want to approve these ones before I move on to the next?
Yes, I have a motion. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the next request is to approve the real estate exonerations. These are exonerations that is a revisement in the assessment for the county tax bills. Some of the reasons may be for LERTA, which is a special project for commercial properties, veterans exemptions, which voids the county tax bills.
I have a motion to accept the Board of Assessment revisions.
I'll move to approve as listed on the agenda.
I'll second.
Fair side?
Aye.
Carried, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just let the students know, we reviewed this agenda on Tuesday at a previous meeting. We've gone through all of these items. I don't want you to think we just come in here and rubber stamp. We, many of the things we've talked about previously with Mr. Yorks, those kinds of issues with the repair, we know that there are repairs that have to go on. And but other things like the radiation contract is a contract that we have to have by state law. And so the due diligence has been done. And then on Tuesday, we went through the whole agenda, and we actually approved a couple of things on Tuesday.
Okay, Commissioners' comment at this time.
I'm going to make a comment, and I want everybody to understand how much money the county taxpayers pay for drugs, for the abuse. Heroin is specific, and now that's on the decline a little, but other drugs are replacing it. We spend tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on drugs, whether it be really rehabilitation, treatment, or incarceration. GEO services that we implemented several years ago, $800,000 a year. We increased the sheriff's department, okay? We increased adult probation. There are so many, what do I want to say, programs that are out there to address this, as well as the stress in the Corners Department. And this morning I heard one of the most heinous laws I've ever heard in my life. As we're spending, as a nation, billions of dollars to solve this problem, New York passed legislation, or it was done by the mayor. I don't know, but I'm going to be asking my solicitor if we can have a lawsuit. They confiscated $7 million worth of heroin in one drug bust, and they let him out on bail. Those drugs are coming here, and they let him out on bail because it wasn't a violent crime. And when you hear suicides, that's not violent. When you hear murders, that's not violent. And because they passed a law. I don't understand this. This affects our state. It affects every state. And I think I'm heading down to CCAP Harrisburg today, as soon as we leave here. I'm going to bring that up and see if our attorney, if there's any possibility of suing that state for allowing such a law. It makes absolutely no sense. This is a major drug business. It's not somebody selling 2 things of crack to get through the day. This is a major business that's going to hit. And that's the value.
And for anyone to say that the drug culture is not violent is absolutely oblivious to it. Guns go hand in hand with drugs. Dealers carry guns. There's no doubt that it's a violent way of life. And for him to be let out and say it's not a violent offense is absolutely ludicrous. That person most likely, they're not going to see him again. They're going to be gone. So, especially with that amount of heroin.
Commissioner, the other thing we can do is we can ask the district attorney what he goes to the, I'm sure, conferences of the National District Attorneys Association and the regional. We can ask him to raise with the district attorneys from that area this issue. Why are they letting people out who are found with so much heroin? We could also look into whether or not the suit on some theory, but we can certainly ask the district attorney to raise that with the district attorneys in New York.
It's a statutory thing in New York. The legislature up there, in its wisdom, has passed a statute, said essentially there is no bail for any crime that is not a violent crime. So there are some crimes, like murder, where you get bail, but if there was no violence involved, you were not going to get bail. I'm not supporting it, I'm just telling you, it was a legislative mechanism. It's not the judge's fault. He or she is obligated to follow what the legislature has said.
We can send a letter to, and we can ask CCAP to send a letter to the governor and to the majority leader in the House and the Senate in New York, and say, look, we think that you know, while you may have been trying to deal with a problem you have in overcrowding in your courts, possession of that much heroin is as you said, is a violent crime. I mean, you may not see the violence at the time of the possession, but the distribution and use of it.
Can I talk? This hits a nerve with me, because you're just as dead from a bullet as you are from fentanyl. They're not selling heroin. They're selling fentanyl. They're selling it's cocaine. It's gabapentin. It's as many as 15 different toxic substances in a tox report on these young people that are dying. So how is that not a violent crime? Our legislators need to change this. Drug dealers are murderers. I'm ruling the causes of death as homicide with these cases, and it needs to stop. We need to start taking drug dealers down. They need to be locked up, and I'm all for the death penalty. You know what? This is nonsense. We have got to stop this stuff. And somebody in Harrisburg and DC or wherever has got to put their foot down and stop it. You know, we can't just say, well, the laws don't allow it. No, then change the laws. change the laws and get the drug dealers where they belong.
Yeah, the
I mean,
legislators should be locked up.
yeah, they're doing nothing to fix this problem. So that's just my, that just hits a nerve with me because they are violent. These people are killing people. Do they intend to? No. But you know what? It's still death of an individual at the hands of another. That's the definition of homicide. And if you drive down the road in a car and you're drunk and you kill someone, you get charged with vehicular homicide. Why are drug dealers getting slapped on the hands and sent back out on the streets to continue to deal drugs and kill people?
You're absolutely correct.
So that's,
For
sorry,
the
thanks.
students here, one of the big concerns is that, you know, marijuana is now being laced with fentanyl. So what does that mean? Fentanyl is a narcotic. That's what the coroner's talking about. Highly addictive, and basically, like any narcotic, if you use it once or twice, you need the narcotic. So it's really important to get the message out to the young people that the pot that they're buying on the street, if it's laced with fentanyl, you might as well be injecting heroin, because that's how addictive it is. We've seen, I mean, you know, on the issue of whether we should legalize marijuana, it's a complicated issue, but one of my concerns has been in the last 2 years, we've seen more and more pot being laced with fentanyl, right, Coroner?
Correct. We're seeing
And
talks
so
with-
we end up having kids who think that they're just smoking pot, what's the big deal? Not recognizing that the dealers are literally intentionally lacing it with fentanyl to basically get people hooked on a narcotic. So it's something, it's a message we have to try to get out without preaching, but just saying from a practical point of view, if I gave you a can of Drano, would you ingest the Drano? No, you wouldn't do it, right? You'd have the common sense not to do it. So it's the same thing with the pot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Last week we mentioned that we had met with the White Deer Billy Casper staff, and they're pleased to announce that they had the most successful financial year to date in 2019. The hard work and strategic operations of the past 4 years with the White Deer Golf Complex earned a profit and is not costing the county any money in 2019. Under Billy Casper golf guidance, White Deer has consistently become more lucrative each golf season, and they look forward to continuing their success for years to come. So I believe the golf course is on the right track. We're monitoring closely. Their staff is very engaged with the county to make sure that taxpayers come first through this, and that it remains an asset for the county and a highlight of the county for tourism.
And I would probably strike the word lucrative.
One of the things that we should add also is that they got cash from the hotel tax. They got in January, I think, $50,000. So that is not property tax money. It's money that comes from the hotel, people staying in hotels, and that $50,000 helped carry them through. I've been an advocate for 4 years now, saying that if we want to have a golf course, the best way to have it not become a divisive issue where people are feeling like their property taxes are being used to support it is to find other funding, such as the hotel tax, which doesn't impact the property tax, but also enables us as a community to have a golf course, and both as a tourist attraction and as an opportunity for quality of life in the community. And then it doesn't have to become a divisive thing where people say, hey, you know, my taxes are high, so I'm pleased that we use $50,000, because the reality is that you have a couple of bad months and your budget for your golf course goes to put, right? It goes south with just some bad weather.
But in
so.
business, you're looking for trends. And this is your break even, and this is where it was all the time. It was down here, going down, down, and down. And now that trend is finally over, this is the 5th year. So that's a trend you look for, even in business, even in your own businesses, or in the stock market. So it's very encouraging for us.
Yeah.
It lets us know that what we implemented is coming to fruition to save some.
When they took over, there was an enormous debt, so they've pulled their way out of that debt, which has been very important.
Well, just so that the public understands, they didn't pay back the debt. The county paid back the debt with property taxes, like over $1 million worth of it most recently. Some of that debt was receivables that were there when we came in. There was about $300,000 on a line of credit with Muncie Bank. And there were other receivables, but it is encouraging news that at least it is running at a break even with some assistance from the hotel tax, which is okay. I mean, it gives the quality of life. And my goal as an elected official is to see that over the coming years, if that golf course makes money, that we pay back the taxpayers. If it makes $25,000 or $50,000, we put that back into the general fund so that every penny of profit that's made out of that, other than the profit that's caught, that we have to pay the manager, we have to pay Billy Casper to run it, that every other positive cash, which I don't think my colleagues would object to, goes back into the general fund to pay down that debt that the taxpayers have allowed. That's totally separate from the bond. The bond is a whole nother story. We've been paying the bond.
Public comment at this time? Morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. My name is Tom Scheck. I'm the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors for Muncie Township. I come to the commissioners, and I want to step back 1 second and say congratulations to the FBLA folks. As a parent of an alumni of the vice president of the FBLA for Muncie Junior Senior High School, my daughter Sarah was very active in FBLA, and the education and the exposure she got from that was second to none. So speaking as a parent and as a recipient of that educational and exposure benefit, take every little bit what the commissioner said to you today and what your advisors say, your parents say, take it to heart because it works. My daughter's in Japan now in her junior year at Bucknell on an exchange program, and I think a lot of that was due to the exposure that she got from FBLA's positive experience and influence. So good luck and congratulations. Muncie Township received a letter dated 22nd January 2020 from Shannon Rossman, the director of the Department of Planning, relative to a zoning partnership cost share. I had a discussion on the phone last evening with Commissioner Metzger relative to this issue. I wanted to bring it to the attention in a public venue that it is the position and the opinion of Muncie Township's Board of Supervisors, and speaking only for one of the 20 partners in the zoning partnership, that the timing of this proposed rate increase that will be bestowed upon the members of that zoning partnership couldn't come at a worse time. Each municipality within this county and by state statute adopts their fiscal budgets to begin on 1 January of the calendar year. We have those dollars set in stone for advertisement and for adoption at our reorganization meeting on the first Monday of the calendar year, again per state statute. Many municipalities, and I can only certainly speak for mine, we are on a very tight budget. To be hit with a per capita increase, no matter how minuscule it may ultimately be, and ours works out to be about $275. This is due to go up to be assessed into June billing statement or cycle. We would have greatly appreciated, I cannot believe our board of supervisors met yesterday. It is our estimation, rightfully or wrongfully so, that this anticipated increase in a fee could not have been realized back in the late summer or early fall of 2019. Hence, a communication could have come forth to the member municipalities in this partnership to allow for appropriate fiscal planning and adoption into our budgets. We are respectfully asking And I will go out on a limb and probably say the other 19 municipalities, and I haven't spoken to any of them. We would appreciate a delay in the implementation of an additional per capita increase until such time during calendar year 2020 and the upcoming budget work sessions that each municipality must by mandate adopt, analyze, and respond to appropriately fiscally prepare for this. We must, by law, maintain, develop, present, and abide by a balanced budget. It is not an option. Muncie Township takes pride in doing this very early on, and I know every municipality in this county, as I know the commissioners are in their county budgets, are very keenly aware of the scarcity of available dollars. We are asking that consideration be given without delay in delaying this process until such time that we can prepare for it. Thank you.
Mr. Scheck.
Yes, sir.
First of all, for the students, he's elected in Muncie Township by his constituents, doesn't get paid.
Nope.
Basically, I know you have to go to Harrisburg, Commissioner Massera, but I think it's important for the kids. He's also a public servant. I mean, in other words, the coroner does one thing, he does another thing. He makes sure that there's the money in his township. I hope, Mr. Scheck, don't shoot the messenger, Shannon Rossman. It was a mistake we made. It was a mistake. I certainly take responsibility as one elected official for the fact that we were not cognizant of the fact that your budgets were already done. And I certainly would be willing to sponsor a motion to delay collection of this until 2021. It's not going to make or break the county. And I think that you speak for the other 19 correctly when you say that you guys run on very tight budgets. So I'll move today that we that we change the implementation of the increase to January 1st, 2021.
Mr. Solicitor, I believe we approved this at our last, right? Is there anything else that we should be doing to possibly rescind that resolution?
It wasn't done by ordinance, wasn't done by resolution.
No, it was done by, it was a resolution.
It was a resolution.
Then you can undo what you did. Rescind it by rescinding the adoption.
I move to rescind the adoption of the ordinance that we passed on Tuesday and to direct the planning department to rewrite the ordinance to be effective.
The resolution.
The resolution, I'm sorry, to write the resolution to be effective January 1, 2021.
Certainly.
I'll second that motion.
All fair side?
Aye.
And Tom, just so that people know, we get paid for what we do here as a county commissioner. And many of the township supervisors, borough council people don't, or they get a little stipend. And this gentleman right here is very intelligent. And I want to apologize as well. But I do have to say this. We were losing this was the staffing that we lost. 225 years worth of people, valuable resources we lost in less than 6 months. So there were so many things, and Shannon was one of them. Shannon came aboard in the middle of this transition, and it just never crossed our minds. And we appreciate you bringing this up to us, because like Commissioner Mary Pito said, this is not going to break us, okay? But we do have a lot of expenses, and that's okay. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I'm glad.
For the students, go ahead.
And Tom, I spoke to you last night for a half hour, and we had a nice conversation. I believe that he didn't have any answers last night, and we had to seek the answers first. I had to speak to my two colleagues today, which I did upstairs before we came down, and we pretty much knew this was going to happen. And I agreed before we came downstairs that it was terrible timing. And so with that said, the other issues I would encourage you to reach out to planning and talk about. We wanted good partnerships, we have to communicate. And if that doesn't happen, then we can sit down at the table and try to resolve it all together.
I think Commissioner Metzger, Commissioners Massera, and Mayor Beto, on behalf of the township and personally, I appreciate the candor. I appreciate the reach out, the feedback. I certainly, and I think, again, speaking on behalf, I'm the vice president of the County Association of Township Officials. I've spoken to Howard Fry, the president, at length about this issue. It is not our intention, either mine personally or as the representative of a group, to point the fingers at anyone relative to this. Understand the director of planning is an the department head in county government. Being a member of government for over 40 years, I can tell you, sometimes you're the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
Okay?
That's what I said, yeah.
That being said,
Please don't.
that being said, it was an issue that we felt needed to be addressed in a very timely fashion, and we felt the best venue in order to address this was through documentation, which we did provide to you on Monday, relative to same. And again, I think a takeaway for the students here would be, and you've heard a lot of stuff today, you probably don't want anything to do with public service once you're done listening to all this today. Okay? But I will say this to you, the students, and to my colleagues up in front. This is how you get things done. You talk about it. You dialogue in a civil manner. You do your homework. You do your due diligence, as I like to say. Don't act on sole emotion. I'm guilty of that. I'll tell you that right now. I'm a retired captain from the fire department in Baltimore, 35 years. I was chief of the biggest volunteer fire company in the state of Maryland for many, many years. I'm still active at 43 years of service down there. I can tell you that there have been times that I've acted on emotion, raw emotion. We're human, we do that. But takeaway point for today is fact-finding, evidence-based, research, and believe me, you'll come out on top. Your credibility will rise exponentially. And again, I want to thank the commissioners for your candor and for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Any other public comment at this time? Not, we are adjourned until next Tuesday. Thank you for being here, students. Thank you. Thank you.